Hey all, you know who it is. Yesterday I read Threefold Section 1 Part 4. That video had to be broken up into two videos, so hopefully you're all caught up. Today I'm going to read Threefold Section 1 Part 5, and we're going to go ahead and dive in. So, what brought you here? Yoshino asked Hugo. He looked up from eating his second helping of dessert. And before you answer, remember, I already know about how and why you came to arrive at my home. Then I'm a bit lost, Hugo said. You graduated, you could have gotten a job, settled down, and started your own family. Instead, you chose to track down two members of your family that left, that abandoned you and your mother. Why? Hugo smiled. They didn't abandon me or my mom. They left for a reason. And I went after them because I have to find out that reason. Not just for me, but my mom as well. You're not angry with them? No, Hugo said. Not at all. Maybe at one time, but time has passed. I told them I would come. I meant it. But this isn't just about them, Yoshino said after sipping some of her tea. This is also about you. They aren't the only reason you left. Hugo smiled again. You're right. I had several reasons for leaving. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see all the stuff I studied in school, and I wanted to help people. But the reason you didn't stay is because you didn't think you could, Yoshino said. Reading my mind? No, Yoshino said. I'm just good at reading people. They shared a short laugh. Hugo finished his dessert and laid himself out on the floor when Akira and Junyo came to the table. Yoshino stood up and Hugo rose up onto his elbows. Did you eat enough? Akira asked him. I think I ate more than enough, Hugo said, rubbing his belly. I feel a bit sick. Akira chuckled. You two are about to leave. Do you want anything to eat before you go? Yoshino asked Junyo and took a step toward him. Hugo noticed Junyo wouldn't look her in the eye. I'm fine, Junyo said. I came to say goodbye. Hugo tried to remember. Were these the first full sentences to come from Junyo's mouth that he'd heard? He ignored that thought. I see, Yoshino said. Hugo heard the hint of disappointment in her voice and watched as her gaze went from Junyo to the floor. You should eat some. Junyo turned his focus on him. All three of them did. Akira seemed especially focused on the two of them. He doesn't have to eat, Yoshino said. If he's not hungry, Hugo, it's okay. I'll clear the table. Save all this food for later. If this warden is as bad as he sounds, Hugo said, we're going to need all the energy we can get. Your mother made a great meal, and I'm sure she didn't make it all for me. Junyo didn't say anything. Hugo thought Junyo was trying to shoot lightning at him from his eyes from the look of his glare. Plus, we're not sure when our next meal will be, are we? He glanced over at Akira. She didn't say anything either. You ate enough for both of you, Yoshino said and chuckled. He's fine. I'll have plenty of leftovers. She took some of the food toward the kitchen. Junyo lowered his head. His Stetson and bangs hid his face. He followed her into the kitchen. Hugo leaned to his right to see what Junyo would do. Junyo had taken the dishes from his mother to carry them for her. Junyo said something Hugo couldn't hear, but after he placed the dishes on the counter, Yoshino embraced him before retrieving a plate and putting food on it. Does Junyo know you're headed for Lunaria? Hugo asked Akira, standing up. Akira raised an eyebrow, which Hugo took to mean she hadn't quite expected him to know where she was headed. Do you think you'll make it to Lunaria? Akira asked him, changing the subject. He took that as a no. Why wouldn't I? Do you think you're strong enough? Will you even make it out of Kinakawa prison? Hugo saw a stern expression on Akira's face. He thought about it for a second, and he wasn't sure. What he noticed about Akira and her mother was that they were somehow able to get inside his head without reading his mind. I don't know how to answer that question, Hugo said. He remembered his fight with Jackson. If Jackson had been someone else, he wouldn't be alive. Thinking about it, he realized the choice Akira had actually placed before him. He could head for Lunaria and avoid trouble, or he could head for Kinakawa and face it. Assist Junyo in fighting through a prison toward a powerful man who could potentially kill them both. That was his choice. Akira chuckled. What? Hugo asked her. You've already made your decision, like when you decided to help me, Akira said. Helping people is about the only time you don't give something a second thought. Don't start now. Junyo left, Yoshino said, walking into the room. He's waiting for you in the back. She came to Hugo and embraced him. Thanks, and be safe on your journey. No, thank you, Hugo said. I'll have to come back and visit. I've never had Lunastran food, but I can't wait to have it again. They all headed toward the back. Hugo and Akira went to Junyo's side. She embraced them. Be careful, she instructed. She kissed Junyo on his cheek. Junyo walked off, and after a wave to Akira and Yoshino, Hugo followed. He and Junyo ended up passing by the stone bridge. Junyo stopped beside it. To Hugo, Junyo seemed deep in thought after he glanced over at it. He noticed him clench his fists before he traveled to the middle of it. Junyo went to one side, and he went to the other. He watched Junyo lean on the bridge and gaze at the water, and he did the same on his side. Junyo was lost in his thoughts, so he decided to get lost in his. Taking in the moon's reflection, he thought about the day. He never thought he'd run into Jackson. Following numerous leads and reaching multiple dead ends across, so the Reds had kept him moving forward. The thought never crossed his mind that Jackson or his father might be dead. To him, they were alive unless he found their bodies. Meeting Jackson face to face made him question whether Jackson had been near him all this time. Had Jackson been protecting him for years now? And if he had been, why did Jackson feel he needed protection? Hugo smiled to himself, thinking about his own answer to that question. Jackson probably felt he needed protection because Jackson didn't believe he could protect himself. Hugo remembered when Jackson used to train him. He could never beat him because he never wanted to hurt him. He never wanted to hurt anyone. He felt no one gained anything from fighting. But he realized sometimes you had to fight for people's innocence, to apprehend the guilty. Sometimes freedom was at stake. However, he strongly believed there was a way to fight without doing the unnecessary. Even though he wanted to know the truth behind Jackson, Akira, and his father's actions, he wanted more to prevent Junyo from hurting innocent people. Akira was afraid Junyo would cross a line, and from what Hugo had seen of him, Junyo would do anything to accomplish his goal. In this case, prevent the warden from executing his sister. Hugo had chased after Jackson to bring Etsuo peace of mind, closure, and justice. Even wanted for murder, he still intended to do that for him. He felt leaving the prison and not staying to explain his situation was stupid and selfish, but he also felt he had to reach Jackson quickly to find out the truth behind Lako's murder and answers to all his own questions. Hugo wasn't the same as before. Jackson might be manipulating him, but Hugo made his own decisions and followed with his own actions. He had decided to come after Jackson on his own, and he made sure he was strong enough to make the journey. He would see it to its end. Jackson wasn't in control of him or his hero anymore. Now he saw them as equals. Akira went inside when they were out of sight, cleaned up and changed clothes. Yoshino waited for her at the front door. "Time for me to leave as well," Akira said. Already knowing, Yoshino handed her a package of food. "Did he speak with you?" Akira asked. "Not a word," Yoshino said. "He's ashamed. He wants to ask for forgiveness, but he can't bring himself to do it." "He doesn't want to be forgiven easily," Akira replied. "He wants you to be angry with him. He wants you to punish him." "That I can't do," Yoshino said. "Neither of us can get through to him. Takashi could. Isamu could. Neither of them are in the position to do so," Akira replied. "But I have a feeling Hugo and Lissandro might." "You think so?" "I think so," Akira told her. "Try not to worry about us." "I have to worry," Yoshino said. "Twice as much. For myself and your mother. When you see her, tell her it was a pleasure to raise such lovely children." "I will," Akira said. After they embraced each other for a long moment, Akira left with a bow and a smile. She watched Hugo and Junyo from the bottom of the bridge on the opposite side when she reached it. "Junyo, are you ready?" Hugo asked, heading toward the forest before turning toward him. After a few moments, Junyo glanced at Hugo and nodded his response. "I'm ready, Mateo." Akira channeled her thought to him. Hugo and Junyo left the bridge and entered the forest together. This might come together well, but for whom? Jackson or Mateo? Akira watched herself become a figure of light before she disappeared. All right, that was the end of part 5 and the end of section 1. If you recall, section 1 was Wanderer. Tomorrow we're going to start section 2, and the title of it is Redeemer. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, and that was the end of Wanderer, and tomorrow is the start of Redeemer. Have a good night, and hopefully if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you'll leave them and I can respond. If not, that's okay. Thank you for your time. Bye.